Why did ancient cultures around the world all make similar looking statues? Or to be more specific, why did ancient cultures around the world all make statues with their hands around their navel? For 3 years, I've been traveling around the world documenting this ancient symbolism, and I'm finally ready to share my findings, which seem to suggest a hitherto unrecognized connection between many ancient cultures. Okay, so this is Urfa Man. It's considered to be the oldest life-size statue of a human ever discovered, and it was found not far from Gobekli Tepe and is considered to be contemporary with Gobekli Tepe, about 10,000 years old or so. Now, some of the T-pillars from Gobekli Tepe also have their hands around their navel, as we see here in this recreation of one of the enclosures of Gobekli Tepe recreated in the Urfa Museum. But if you spend the day exploring the Urfa Museum, you'll find other artifacts recovered from Gobekli Tepe and associated sites that also express this same artistic motif with their hands meeting around their navel. On Easter Island, there are nearly 1,000 moai that have been found, and they all have their hands meeting around their navels. On the island of Sulawesi in Indonesia, a statue that may be familiar to some of you named Pelindo, or the Entertainer, also has his hands meeting around his navel, grasping his genitalia. Join me now as we step inside the Kosovo Museum in Pristina, Kosovo, where we can see the world's greatest collection of ancient Vinca idols. Vinca was a civilization or a culture from approximately the 6th millennium BCE, and they were also the oldest known culture to smelt copper. The Belivode site on Rudnik Mountain has the oldest discovered so far copper furnace for smelting copper that's ever been discovered in the world. And as you can see here, just walking around this room, you can see many figurines with their hands around their navel, and also many of these figurines are wearing V-neck garments, similar to Urfa Man. Now join me in the Israel Museum in Jerusalem, where we can see idols recovered from Beersheba from 4500 BC, which is the date and location of the oldest copper furnace ever discovered in Israel, and amongst what must be the second oldest copper furnace ever discovered in the world. And again, we find this same symbolism popping up. Could it be that the naval idol was a symbol important to an elite group of ancient copper workers who knew the secrets of working copper? This is an Olmec artifact on display in the National Museum of Mexico, and the Olmecs were also the first culture of Mexico to utilize copper. This artifact is the Perdigos figurine, and it's from the Perdigos site in Portugal, associated with the earliest use of copper in Portugal. This figurine is from the Shang dynasty in China. The Shang dynasty was the first dynasty in China to use copper. While exploring Nan Madol on the island of Pohnpei in Micronesia, I also found a naval idol sitting in someone's front yard and learned that it was a traditional art form from a nearby island. On the island of Tahiti, there's a museum with ancient statues, and they represent the Polynesian tiki god, and they all have their hands around their navel. If we go explore some of the ancient sites of Tahiti, we'll find even more statues with their hands around their navel. On the island of Raiatea, we find another ancient statue with its hands around its navel. On the island of Sardinia, the Oier culture from 4000 BC created idols whose hands meet around their navel. In the Colombian Amazon, at the site of San Agustin, we find even more examples of statues with their hands around their navel. In Greece, some of the oldest Cycladic figurines have their hands meeting around their navel. I found them in Turkey, Kosovo, Bulgaria, Iraq, Iran, Israel, Palestine, Sardinia, Greece, Cyprus, Portugal, Mexico, Peru, Colombia, Easter Island, French Polynesia, India, China, Indonesia, England, France, Micronesia, and Northern Ireland. I've documented all my findings in my book, The Mystery of the Naval Idols, which you can get now on Amazon. In many cases, the idols emerge in the archaeological record at the same time people of a local region begin working with copper, and there is a mysterious commonality of V-neck garments and pegs noted on many of them. All of this leads me to theorize that an ancient group of people knew the secrets of copper working and held the symbol of the navel idol as sacred, and were spreading both of these things around the world as a package. If you're interested in learning more, head on over to Amazon and grab a copy of my book, The Mystery of the Navel Idols. The link is below.